Right, so this is an exercise I use quite a lot with students to really develop a sense of understanding of pitch awareness, singing in tune. It's one I devised myself, so I'm quite proud of it. And for it, you need to look at this because each of my fingers is going to represent one of the first 5 notes of the major scale. Now, I'll come back to that in a minute. We've talked about the major scale before. It's a sound, a set of notes which we're usually quite familiar with. A lot of famous tunes, a lot of our harmony uses that set of notes. Sounds very familiar with us. If I play a note wrong in it makes it sound different. It gives it a different flavour. So this major scale, we're just going to take the first 5 notes. It's like the start of EastEnders. That starts with the first 5 notes of a major scale. And we're just going to try and sing these. We can sing them up and down to start with, and we can give them each note a number. So we sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could also sing, if you know it, do, re, mi, fa, so. It's the same thing. It's just the number of the scale, yeah? So if we sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now that's quite easy if it's in a sequence, but if suddenly we have to jump from the 1 to the 3, 1, 3, and then we have to find the 4, 3, now they're next door neighbours, so we move up 1, but then if I've got to go from the 4 to the 2, 4, they're not next door neighbours, I have to jump over 3, 4, 2. And if you see what I did there actually, and this is what I do with students quite a lot, you sort of hum through 4, 2. Can you hear me? I'm jumping over the 3, and then you try not to hum it at all, just hear it in your head. 4, 2, 4, 2. Some students often find the 2 very hard for some reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, coming back to the hand here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now there's a special reason why these 2 here are close together, which actually they kind of naturally do anyway, because I think these are fused together in the bone. So if you can actually do this, it will help. So there's a gap between 1 and 2, there's a gap between 2 and 3, 3 and 4 are right next door to each other, next door neighbours, and there's a gap between 4 and 5. And I'm about to explain to you now, using the keyboard, why this represents the first 5 notes of a major scale. Right, so we're looking at 1 octave of the piano keyboard. I have done some sessions before just explaining the structure of the keyboard. You see there's 2 black notes, 3 black notes, 2 black notes, but if you find wherever there are 2 black notes and then 1 semitone, we've talked about that before, the closest place below the lowest of the 2, the lower of the 2 black notes is C. Now if we find C, this is quite special because just the white notes will actually create a major scale, the natural notes I prefer to call them, which is their proper name. They're only white on a piano, they're not white on a trumpet or when we sing them. So the natural notes here from C to C automatically give me a major scale. Da 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 da. That scale we're familiar with. If I start on D and do the white notes, then it doesn't. So there's something special about C. So if we can find C, if you've got a real keyboard or if you've got an app on your phone, we're going to find C. And we're just going to focus on trying to sing and pitch accurately the first 5 notes. So as I was doing before, we're going to sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1. Now this is where we can test ourselves. 1, because I know that that one is 2. So if I sing it, 1, 2. Was I right? 2. Yes, I was. 1, 2. Am I right? Hopefully you can hear I was wrong. So you can check and correct yourself, and the more you do this, the more you can improve your ability to do it. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. 2, 1, 3, 4, 5. It's really hard. I've got to go from 5. I've got to jump over 5. 2, 5, 2, 1. So you can see how you can practice that as long as you start on C, which is actually for the female voice. You can be singing it there, in fact that's where it is. A minute ago I was singing it an octave down, which is much better for the male voice. But that is actually middle C, I'm singing it correctly there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which in the male voice, I'm obviously going very high once I'm going to that G there. But some male voices might want to sing it actually at the pitch I'm playing, or down there, down an octave anyway. So I'm going to come back to the hand now. Do you remember what I was looking at a minute ago? If you look at the first 5 notes of a major scale, you look at the distance between the first and the second. Now, they're not next door neighbours, are they? Because there's a note in between. So when we did the session on semitones and tones, which if you haven't seen yet, you need to go and find and watch, those notes are not the closest together they can possibly be. There is actually a note in between. Da, da, da. But we naturally sing a tone between the first and the second note in a major scale. And we naturally sing a tone between the second and the third. 1, 2, 3. Now between the 3 and the 4, 3, 4. Then that is a semitone. You might think, well, how do I do that? You just do it instinctively because you're very clever. It's a natural thing as to why we sing that. We're so familiar with that scale. We do it without even knowing about it. But now you do know that actually to make a major scale, there are other scales, but we're just dealing with a major scale for now. Between the third note and the fourth note, there is a semitone. Next door neighbours. Is it starting to make sense now? You can see between the first and the second note there's a gap. Between the second and the third there's a gap. Between the third and the fourth there isn't a gap because there's a semitone. And then between the fourth and the fifth there's a gap. Yeah, whoops, I've got it there. Yeah, now hopefully you can do that. Yeah, I think it's like the Spock sign in Star Trek or something like that. If that makes any sense to you. So if you can do that, what you're sort of representing is the tone between the first and the second note, the tone between the second and the third, the semitone between the third and the fourth, and the tone between the fourth and the fifth. Now you might say, well, why do I need that? Later on, we're going to also be trying to find the notes in between the first and the second and the third, and the fourth and the fifth. We're going to try and sing those, but we're not going to do that in this session. We're just going to focus on trying to pitch the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to give you a little test on that in the last couple of minutes of this session. Right, so let's give ourselves a test to see how we've got on with that. So there's the 1. Female voice will probably start there, but you'll just find it naturally. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to point to each one slowly and I'll sing to begin with, but then I'll stop singing and you see how you get on. I'm just checking the pitch again, which is what you can do. If you lose where you are, you lose that, you stop hearing where the 1 is, go back to your keyboard, find the C. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. Five, we should be there. 5, 4. 1. Hopefully I haven't changed the pitch while doing that. I'm going to test myself. It wasn't too bad. Sometimes when you're doing it without the piano, you can just gradually shift a little bit. But that was pretty good. So practice that yourself, and the whole point of having these gaps is because in future exercises we're going to find what I sometimes call the hidden notes, finding the notes that are in between, which is really tricky. But if we practice it, we'll get there. So practice that one. Good luck with it, and I'll see you in the next session.